Obsessed. That is exactly what Daniel became after one Tuesday night at a rooftop bar changed everything he thought he knew about women. He was mid-sentence, telling some ridiculous story about his dog eating an entire birthday cake at a party. When it happened. She laughed, and then her hand landed on his forearm. Just for a second, light as a feather, and Daniel, standing there with his drink in his hand, felt something shift in the air between them. He didn't know what it meant, but something deep in his gut told him it meant everything. And he was right. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what that touch means, why the brain does it automatically, and how to read every signal that comes before and after it so you never misread a woman's interest again. Let's start with the science, because this is where it gets genuinely fascinating. Human beings are touching creatures. We evolved as social mammals who use physical contact to communicate trust, safety, and connection long before language was sophisticated enough to carry those messages. Touch is one of the oldest communication systems in the human body, and when a woman reaches out and touches your arm while she's laughing, she is not making a conscious decision. That is the critical point most people miss. She is not sitting there thinking, okay, I like this guy. I'm going to strategically place my hand on his arm to signal attraction. No, that touch is involuntary. It is her nervous system doing what nervous systems do when they feel good around someone. It is her body speaking before her mind has a chance to edit the message. And bodies, unlike mouths, almost never lie. Now let's talk about Marcus. Marcus was a 32-year-old accountant who described himself as, and I quote, fluent in spreadsheets, but illiterate in women. He had been on dozens of first dates over 3 years. Decent conversations, nice dinners, a few laughs, and then nothing. Women would ghost him or give him the dreaded "we're better as friends" speech, and Marcus genuinely could not figure out where things were going wrong. He started paying attention in sessions with a relationship coach, and she asked him one simple question. When you're on a date and a woman touches you, what do you do? Marcus blinked. He said, I don't know. I guess I keep talking. And there it was. Marcus was receiving green lights at every intersection and just driving straight into them. Without noticing, once he learned to read touch, everything changed. And it will for you too. So what exactly does it mean when she touches your arm while laughing? At the most foundational level, it means she feels safe with you. Think about that for a second. Safety is not a small thing in the context of attraction. It is the entire foundation. A woman who does not feel safe around a man keeps her body closed, arms crossed, leaning back, physically contained. A woman who feels safe opens up, literally. She leans in, she mirrors your posture. And eventually, when a moment of genuine joy occurs, like laughing at your story about a birthday cake-eating dog, her body reaches toward yours without her permission. That involuntary reach is her nervous system saying, I want to be closer to this person. I trust this person. This person makes me feel good. But here is where we need to get more specific, because not all arm touches are created equal. There is a massive difference between a polite social touch and a touch that is dripping with romantic interest, and you need to know how to tell them apart. A polite social touch is brief, happens once, and is followed by the woman returning to a more neutral posture. It is friendly and warm, but it doesn't linger. The attraction touch is different. It lingers just a half second longer than it needs to. She doesn't pull back immediately. Sometimes her fingers curl slightly, like she's holding on just a little, and then, critically, she touches again later. Because one touch that means attraction is never just one touch. It's the beginning of a pattern. Let's bring in Jessica. Jessica was on a third date with a guy named Tom. She liked him. She wasn't sure if he liked her back in that way or if he was just being friendly. She noticed that every time she laughed at something he said, which was often because Tom was genuinely funny, her hand would land on his arm without her even planning it. After the date, she texted her best friend and said, I keep touching his arm when I laugh, and I can't stop doing it. Is that embarrassing? Her friend, who had apparently taken a masterclass in female psychology, texted back 3 words, "You are gone." And she was right. Jessica was already half in love with Tom, and her hand had been announcing it all evening while her brain was still playing it cool. Tom, to his credit, noticed. He leaned into those moments. He made eye contact right after she touched him. He smiled slowly, not immediately moving on to the next joke, but pausing, letting the moment breathe. And that pause? That's what made Jessica think about him all night afterward. Because here's a psychological principle that most people overlook. When she touches you and you acknowledge it, not with words, but with presence, you are essentially validating the signal her body just sent. You are saying, without saying anything, I felt that too. And that creates a loop of mutual vulnerability that is one of the most powerful forces in early attraction. Now, let's talk about the laugh itself. Because the touch doesn't happen in isolation. The combination of the laugh and the touch is the real tell. Psychologist Robert Provine spent decades studying laughter. And one of his most interesting findings was that women laugh more around men they are attracted to. Not because those men are funnier, necessarily, although sometimes they are, but because laughter is a bonding signal. It is a way of saying, I'm enjoying being in your world. So when she laughs at your jokes more than you would objectively say they deserve, that's already information. When her laugh makes her reach out and touch you, that is information multiplied by 10. You're not just making her feel good, you are making her feel connected to you. And connection is what attraction turns into when it wants to stick around. Here is where I want to give you something practical you can use immediately. After she touches your arm, there is a window of about 30 seconds where the emotional temperature in the conversation is the highest it's going to be. Do not waste that window by instantly pivoting to the next topic or going back to whatever you were saying before. Instead, slow down. Make eye contact. Let a beat of comfortable silence exist. You don't need to say anything clever. Sometimes you just say, you know what? I'm really glad we did this tonight. Simple, genuine, grounded. That 30-second window is where connection gets cemented, and most men rush right past it because they're nervous and they default to talking. Stop talking. Be present. Let the moment land. Let's go back to Daniel for a second, because his story has a second chapter. After the arm touch happened, Daniel, who had done some reading on attraction signals, chose to respond differently than he normally would. He slowed down his story. He made eye contact with her and smiled. Not the goofy, I'm so excited smile, but the calm, confident smile of a man who knows something good is happening. He said, I feel like we could talk until this place kicks us out. She laughed again, and this time, she didn't just touch his arm. She left her hand there. Folks, that's not a signal anymore. That's a billboard. Now, for the humor portion of our program, let me just say this. Some of you watching this video have had a woman basically hold your arm like it's a lifeline on a sinking ship while she's laughing. And you responded by enthusiastically launching into another unrelated anecdote about your college roommate. We've all been Marcus. We've all missed the billboard and asked for directions. The good news is you're here now. Let's talk about one more layer to this, because arm touching during laughter is part of a broader constellation of signals that appear together when attraction is real. Watch for these in combination. Eye contact that lasts just slightly longer than casual, body orientation turned fully toward you, even in a group setting. Mirroring, where she unconsciously copies your gestures or posture, and playing with her hair or neck, which is a classic self-touching behavior that happens when the nervous system is activated by attraction. When you see the arm touch, in the context of 2 or 3 of these other signals happening together, you are not reading into things. You are reading things correctly. There is a difference. The deeper psychological truth at the heart of all of this is that attraction is a physical experience before it is a verbal one. The body communicates attraction through 100 tiny behaviors that bypass conscious control. She doesn't decide to touch you. She doesn't plan to laugh more than she normally does. She doesn't choose to mirror your posture. Her nervous system, responding to genuine positive emotion in your presence, does all of that automatically. Your job is not to manufacture moments that trigger these signals. Your job is to be present enough, calm enough, and emotionally intelligent enough to notice them when they appear, and then respond in a way that deepens the connection. instead of accidentally slamming the brakes on it. Because here's the thing about Jessica and Tom. They've been together for almost 2 years now. And Tom told Jessica months into the relationship that the moment he knew she was really interested was not when she said anything. It was when he noticed she couldn't stop touching his arm, and she didn't even realize she was doing it. Her body told the truth before her words were ready to, and he was paying close enough attention to hear it. That is the skill, not manipulation, not tricks, just awareness. The willingness to slow down, pay attention, and respond to what is actually being communicated beneath the surface of every conversation. Like the video and subscribe to Couple Code. And here's the question I want to leave you with. Think about the last time someone's body language told you something their words never did. Did you listen?